Hi, my name is Nicola Farnhill. I live on the Costa Blanca here in lovely Spain. As we know, we're in lockdown at the moment, so things have been a little bit challenging. I connected with Ali many years ago, and we've finally been able to meet on a Zoom video here. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I do, and first of all, why I do it. This might resonate with some of you, it may not. But the theme today is about disconnection and how important it is to reconnect to yourself. So a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am today. So basically, at 3 months old, I was taken into hospital for an emergency. And I might get a little bit emotional about this. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you to see that actually I've been through a lot of what other people have been through. So at 3 months old, I was taken into hospital in an emergency. And during that time, my mothers weren't allowed to stay with their babies. And I don't know whether any of you guys know that basically a child doesn't see itself as its own entity until it's 18 months old. So at that time, mothers weren't allowed to stay. So I spent 3 months in hospital at that time. And during that time, I nearly died. My mum used to come during the day. And what happened was, from that, I developed a sense of abandonment. This affected me very much emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. This is something that I've only just realised in the past, probably 5 to 6 years. So basically, I came out of hospital and I was traumatised. I didn't sleep on a night. I used to remember when I could get out of my cot, crawling into my mum's bedroom and just standing in front of her or touching her face. I had no idea what I was doing. This is the trauma that came from being in hospital. And what came from that was obviously my parents didn't understand. They weren't educated in this. So they basically, they thought there was something wrong. They went to doctors, etc., and they couldn't get to it. In those days, I'm 49 now. So in those days, there was kind of not much education around childhood trauma, etc. This developed as I got older. I absconded from school the first time when I was 5 years old, crossing 2 main roads. My mum was extremely dramatised by this. This continued throughout my school life. I found it very difficult to make friends. The only school time I enjoyed was when I went to the school that was opposite the house. And I can remember feeling at that time that I can't understand why I'm only comfortable in this school. I then went to high school, which was away from my parents' house, our home. And what happened then was I went back into my trauma completely. I used to play hooky from school. I used to go to my horse and just wanted that comfort. I had no idea what I was searching for, but I just knew that I needed to keep this connection with my mum at all costs. This was a predominant driving force that took over from everything else in my life. So basically then I left school. I had a few jobs. I still lived at home. And from that time on, basically, my work was affected. My relationships were affected. Although I ended up doing an amazing job working with children that were terminally ill and disabilities. And I really found my niche there. I really found that sense of connecting with others. And I guess that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that connection, but I still had that disconnection from myself, unfortunately. So I flourished in that environment, became very financially secure, bought my own house, my own brand new car. By the time I was 21, I was in a really, really amazing place when it came to the work and to my finances. However, the hole was getting bigger and bigger. I moved out of my parents' home and then found that disconnection again. Then I started to indulge in addictions. Again, if anybody doesn't know, then addictions basically are about a way of self-soothing, but it's in a negative sense. So we're looking to feel different. But the problem is that we're self-soothing with things that are very damaging. So I continued my career in social services, helping children with disabilities, helping people that were in care. And all the time, I didn't realise that what I was doing was I was actually trying to heal other people because I was trying to heal myself. The sad thing is that most people that go through this, they've no idea what they're trying to do. And from others, from the outside, it can seem like you're quite needy I used to feel quite sad at times. I would cling to people. My mum and I were still extremely close, to the point where it damaged the relationship with her and my father. My father and I had no relationship because I was constantly with my mum all the time, whenever I could be. But again, the addictions developed. After a period of time, I think it was about 11 years, I actually finished working with social services. And because it just wasn't fulfilling my needs, also my addictions were taking over. They were costing me my finances, costing me my relationships. So from then I went to another self-soothing form, which was quite positive. I learned to be a dog groomer. Again, I've always had this huge connection to animals. And again, I can see now why I've wanted that connection so deeply. And animals are the best place to go, because what do they give you? They give you unconditional love. They're never going to leave, which was an issue for me because I had this problem with abandonment. They're never going to reject you, whatever mood you're in. They're always there for you. So I had a great, intense relationship with dogs, with my horses, with cats. Every stray animal that I saw on the street, hedgehogs, birds, whatever, I would bring them back into my home. And all the time I was just looking for that comfort, for that sense of another being with me. So after a couple of years doing this, then my mum and my dad moved to Spain, and this absolutely devastated me. I didn't realise the impact of my mum leaving. You know, I thought I was an adult. I was in my 20s, my late 20s. I was kind of like, you know, I'm an adult. But again, I just crashed and burned. I then had this addictions and everything going on. I then decided to move to Spain. Again, subconsciously, I was coming to create that connection with my mum again. So I moved to Spain, set up a business, did amazingly well. And then my mum came to work with me. And it was really interesting because my mum came to work with me and she ended up nearly living with me. Again, caused a separation with my mum and my dad. My dad became very jealous of me, very intense, very critical, which he'd always been critical because he felt so insecure. Again, for people who don't know, these families have patterns as well that we can go into later. So basically I had this wonderful business, everything was going really well. When my mum was nearly living with me, then my mum got cancer. And that for me was the point where I think I started to realise that my mum was ill for like 9 months, and when my mum actually died, I was broken, completely broken. This connection that this part of me that I needed to heal, the only person I could see that could really heal it was gone. And I can remember laying on the bathroom floor for about, I think my ex-partner said at the time, I think I was there for about 36 hours. And I didn't move. I just laid there because I was completely broken. And then obviously you have to get up. You know, as we say, the sun comes up, then, you know, it goes down. You've got to continue. But I had no clue as to where to start my journey into self-healing. But what I did know is that the fix that I'd been using all my life was no longer there. So from then I started my journey. I went back into self-help. I went back into spirituality. I trained to be a life coach, although I was previously a social worker and a counsellor. So I had lots and lots of skills, but still this huge hole inside me. Trained to be a coach, practiced lots of spirituality, which I still practice, meditation, yoga. Really wanted and really realised that I had to go in to find the solution, that nobody or nothing could give me that healing that I needed, that inner child that was crying out consistently for that healing to take place. You know, and it was a very scary time. I was still in and out of addictions, just wanting to self-soothe, but realising when I did them that they were very negative. The relationships that I was having weren't working because basically, you know, I was looking to another person again to fill my needs. And that's when I realised, after a lot of training, a lot of studying, a lot of self-practice, that I had to go in, that I had to reconnect with the inner child to heal that place. And I realised that all my life I'd been totally disconnected from who I was. You know, and for people that don't understand where this disconnection takes place, it generally starts with a childhood trauma, an operation, something maybe in your childhood where you haven't had your needs met emotionally or physically or mentally. And if you don't get to that place of awareness, then then what tends to happen is at the time of the trauma, as a child, we've no idea about how to deal with someone leaving or not meeting our needs. We've not got the skills to be able to realize that it wasn't our fault. We've not got that mentality, it's not been developed. So from that, what we do is we make a decision that it must have been our fault. And that's terribly sad, because what happens from that place of blame, of shame, is that we start to disassociate from who we are. Because obviously that person who we were when we got abandoned, rejected, wasn't good enough. You know, and I hear so many people, my clients say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And it all comes from that place where those needs or that trauma took place. So we disassociate from our authentic selves, our true selves, which is so sad, because in order to do that, we have to create a new persona. And this persona doesn't portray who we truly are. So from then we create a story, a belief about ourselves. We're not good enough, we're not worthy. So then we go out into the world and we're not able to develop the relationships, develop the structures for making a productive life, a happy life. We don't know what happiness is. We're just in that constant state of feeling that we're not good enough to actually put ourselves out there. You know, and all the time we're feeling disconnected, we're feeling like that emptiness. So then we maybe go to those addictions. There's a feeling inside that's uncomfortable. And, you know, for me, it's kind of, there's no negative feelings or positive feelings. There's only comfortable ones and uncomfortable ones. And the challenge is that when we get these uncomfortable ones, we don't realize that we need to be able to be aware of them, why they're taking place, and actually soothe through positive things. So as we move on, we kind of develop these addictions. Our focus can tend to be on, you know, lots of different things, but not on meeting our true needs, because we don't really know who we are. We've created this persona. So it may be that we focus on how we look, for example, because we feel that if we look a certain way, we'll be accepted. But in my opinion, for what it's worth, most of the time when the focus is truly only on our outside person, is that we only attract superficiality. We attract people that want to be with us for our superficiality. And then we may go and we may focus on our finances. If I have the car, if I have the house, I have the clothes, the holidays, then everybody will see me as being successful. But are we truly looking for success? Or are we looking for happiness? And you know, it's all about that awareness. When we cannot trust ourselves, then we tend to look outside of ourselves. We're looking for people to accept us, to fit in. As human people, we need to be able to fit in. But if we've got this inside trauma, this hole inside us, then what happens is we fit in with people that they're not right for us, they don't respect us, they don't value us. And why? Because we don't respect and value ourselves. How can we? You know, and then as time goes on, we find possibly relationships, we meet people, they don't trust us, they don't see us as kind of being people that we're valued, again, because we're not valuing ourselves. You know, we're feeling this disconnection all the time. And again, then we get into those places where maybe the job's not working, the relationship's not working, the finances aren't working. This trauma, this sense of disconnection, disassociation from self, creates in us the inability to be able to feel at peace. You know, and I have to say that up until 5 years ago, I couldn't actually be on my own in the evenings. And I realized that the reason was because I actually was in hospital at 3 months old and was on my own on a night, and I would cry and nobody came. Nobody met my needs. So every night until maybe 5 years ago, and all my friends know this, and when I've told a lot of them, they've been like, oh my God, I used to start getting the anxiety, the tension, this feeling in your chest, and nothing was actually happening. Nothing was happening. But not only does trauma fix itself in your mind, in your subconscious, it also fixes itself in your body. And the problem with a lot of talk therapies is that they can, you know, they can develop a sense of awareness. You can have lots of skills and tools and strategies. However, if you don't start to reconnect with your inner self, your spiritual self, then you cannot reconnect with this traumatic energy that's inside you. So this can be very, very challenging. And that's why a lot of people that have suffered from trauma or not getting their needs met or having an accident, they actually don't ever get to a solution. Then you may find when you talk to people that have been with counsellors, nothing works. And sadly, that's when they give up. That's when they feel like, yes, I really am, you know, I'm not worthy. I'm never going to be able to do this. It's really sad because you can see people, you know, there's a lot of people here. And they've worked all their lives, they end up on their own, and they just sat and they're drinking every day, and they're just so empty inside, and they're very miserable, you know. And then what happens is they become more isolated. You know, they feel they're not worthy, so they kind of get into that place of, I just sit on my own and just self-soothe. Obviously from that comes, you know, your finances are affected, your health is affected, your relationships are affected. So this disconnection from self that comes from trauma is actually just, you know, it can actually ruin your life. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it, obviously sharing my story, is that I see so much unhappiness, so much of people looking out. And I think, you know, with the situation with lockdown at the moment, I think there's a lot of people that are suffering right now that maybe continuously have been going outside of themselves, looking for that comfort, looking for that self-soothing of maybe shopping. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having wealth. It's a wonderful thing. You can do amazing things with it. But they self-soothe through shopping, they self-soothe through relationships, they self-soothe through addictions. And in this sense, all right, we can go to the fridge and eat, and we can smoke and we can drink and we can even take drugs. However, you know, the one thing that's predominant right now for me is the fact that, and I think a lot of people are drastically coming to awareness of this, is that we need connection in order to survive. It's been proven that if we do not have connection to ourselves and to others, it's almost like the air we breathe, the water we drink. We need connection to survive. You know, and this is a great concern for me at the moment, because there's people, you know, in the lockdown situation, they've already disconnected from themselves, maybe have been isolating themselves before this happened, and now they're in a situation where, okay, it's bringing more awareness. The problem is that if you don't know what to do with this awareness, you can go more to negative self-soothing, you can go more to negative beliefs about yourself, and also getting back out there afterwards. It's going to be really, really difficult for people, I think, especially those that haven't got that super awareness of what they need to do, and how they need to move forward. I think in a way it's a good thing. I think it's brought a lot of spiritual awareness around, but in the same sense, I think there's a lot of people going to be struggling, and I really, really hope, you know, the people that watch this, that they're able to reach out, they're able to see that connection to others is vital for our survival. I think the wonderful thing is that it's created a lot of awareness of how much our family and friends mean to us. You know, I've connected with people that maybe I've had disagreements with, and I've wanted to reach out and thought to myself, you know, I cared about that person before, we just had a disagreement, and I want to just reach out and say, you know what, whatever happened in the past, cared about you, you're just a person, I want to know you're all right. So I think for me, you know, the disconnection to self, the disconnection from other people has to start, the healing has to start with you. If you are suffering from addictions, if you are suffering from financial difficulties due to a lack of awareness, you're not aware of what you need, who you are as a person, the place to go is within. And I would advise strongly that you find someone that's able to give you that support, that's able to give you that awareness through self-experience. And that, guys, is why I'm sharing my story today. Anybody can reach out at any time. Just feel that place of, there's something going on, there's something that I've been avoiding, there's something that feels uncomfortable. And rather than doing the negative self-soothing, you know, it's great to get out, get some exercise, eat healthy, but if you find that you keep going around in a cycle where you keep slipping off the wagon, then there's a hole inside you that needs filling. And it can be done. For those of you that have tried so hard, that feel disheartened, it can be done, but it takes a lot of work and discomfort. But I honestly believe that everybody's worthy. We've all got a path. It may be that your trauma, like mine, leads you into a place of serving others. But it can be done, and I honestly believe that anybody can do it. So if you feel that you can come into a place of awareness through all this that's going on, you're really uncomfortable right now, then please, please, please reach out and find some, whether it's myself or anyone else, get some more awareness, read some books, start to discover the real you, because we're all beautiful and we've all got something to give. And I really, really hope that we can come out of this and feel more productive and have a lot more happiness and a lot more peace. Then you can contact me for some information. I do a 15-minute free strategy session where you can tell me all about what's going on, and then we can see if we're a good match to sit together and work things through. You can get me on my email, which is connectedself@outlook.com, or you can contact me on my telephone number, which is 634-316-839, and that's obviously 0034. Or you can check out my website, which is www.connectedself.com. I really hope you can reach out. I hope everyone's doing really, really well, and stay strong and realise that you can push through this and get over whatever traumas that have disconnected you from yourself.